I'm here with Barry Diller, chairman of IAC and Expedia, former CEO of Paramount and Fox. And he is the impresario, I guess, behind an incredible new park in New York City called Little Island. Barry, great to see you. And you were just telling me about how Little Island compares to some of the other projects you've done in your illustrious career.
Well, yeah, thank you for those words. But no, it's different than making movies and television, where at least my experience is that from the script to actually getting it on screen, whatever your greatest hopes were, they usually are a little less than they were at the very beginning. Most of the time. With this Little Island project, for me, from the very beginning, and I had hoped that, I use this word icon, and I probably shouldn't, that we could build something that was an icon visually on the waterfront of New York, that it has turned out far better than I had hoped.
Yeah, it's been open, I guess, about 2 months, and it's
actually, I just saw this morning, Andy, that we passed 500,000 people in 6.5 weeks, which is quite remarkable.
That is amazing. And there's people lining up to get in.
Because it is a
pretty easily, but do you feel like it already feels like it's become a part of an established part of the city? And what kind of reception has it received? How would you?
Well, it's been. There certainly are people, very few, thankfully, who are negative about it, and they are negative about it partly because they think, why should a benefactor be able to build something like this on public space, et cetera? Or they say, what will happen to this in 50 years? There's one recommendation that after 20 years, it should be torn down, and the water should then be returned to kayakers and such. My response to that is, there's, 100 and some odd miles to the Hudson River. I think the kayakers got a lot of places to go, but overwhelmingly, it has been positive, both in terms of people talking about it architecturally as being exciting and whimsical and interesting and all of that. The performances that we've done, we decided in the first year that instead of doing just a few to tease to see how we would work out, we would just pile it on. We're doing 500 performances between June 10th and September. So all of these performances so far, and we're just beginning with it, have been incredibly well received. So it's truly been great. I got nothing other than happiness.
The park's opening has coincided with the city's reopening.
I know.
Right?
I did not plan this.
Yeah, it's serendipitous. But is it part of bringing the city back?
Seems like it. I can just tell you, having been there endless amount of times since we opened, that just the look on people's faces as they cross the bridge, they cross Manhattan, all of its complications and difficulties and stimulus and all of that, and they go over to our little Oz, their faces just light up. So it does seem to me that there is this, and maybe probably momentary, that the exuberance coming out of people being able to just go to a public place without masks, without social distancing, is euphoric. So pretty good so far.
And the park has an endowment, right? So it's not like you just built it and then the city has to support it, right?
No. We have said that it's not really an endowment. We have said that our foundation will support the maintenance of the park for 20 years.
Right. Do you have a favorite part of the park, Barry?
No, I'm honestly, what I find is in walking around, and I've done it a lot, to say the least, is I'm constantly discovering new little angles and places that I hadn't seen before. Because when we designed it, we wanted, because it's all winding things and whatever, we designed it so that whenever you turn your view, there'd be some surprise or something that was different from turning the other way. And so I'm still discovering.
Well, it has these hills. It's kind of like you're in a fairy tale, park, and maybe like one of those castles in Germany. You almost think you're going to come to, right? And what was this? Talk to us about that design.
Well, first, I mean, the first thing is I wanted something that was not some cookie cutter pier or park. So I was ambitious, me and my colleagues were ambitious about what it would look like. And we wanted something that was surprising. We wanted something that was whimsical. We wanted it to be friendly. We didn't want it to be pretentious. And out of that cauldron came these designs by Thomas Heatherwick, which after refining and whatever, allowed us, I think, to create something that is unique. I mean, it may not be to everyone's taste, but certainly it ain't easy for you to say, oh, this is just like that.
Right. And I talked to you about this for years as you were building it. And I remember you were like putting your head in your hands at various points. There was a lot of headaches.
It was difficult.
Were there times when you thought it would never happen?
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, there was a time when, because of litigation by these dissidents who were mostly saying that the American eel, the reason we shouldn't build this island is because the American eel needs sunlight. To which I did respond that, well, tell the eel to go, a block north or south or east, or west, because there's plenty of places, whatever. Anyway, but that got so contentious that, we actually abandoned the project for about 2 months. And I thought it was all over. But the governor actually, in this case, the governor really saved it.
How is your business doing? How's the IAC doing in terms of responding or coming back from COVID, et cetera?
Well, I'll start with our travel business, Expedia, which is doing extremely well, as you would imagine, given that travel is just emerging. US travel, not so much international. And IAC's businesses are all doing extremely well. We have not had and I don't think we'll have it for some time, the issue of everybody coming back and therefore not using internet services. Most of our companies are virtual and based on internet protocols. And that usage is still as high as it was, I think, during the pandemic. So all well.
You're back in the office, you told me. What about everyone else? Are people, do they have to come in? Right.
We are going to say, I don't know if we said it yet, actually. I think we'll say by Labor Day, everybody has to be in the office. Now, we will have I don't like this concept of 3 days, saying 3 days in, 2 days out, which is what a lot of tech companies are doing. I think that it should primarily be you work from the office. There are certain job classifications, certain tasks that you can do from home, and we're perfectly okay for that to happen. But as a primary rule, we want people to be vaccinated and we want them in the office.
You recently praised President Biden's executive order cracking down on anti-competitive practices taken by monopolies. Does that order go far enough?
No, but I think legislation will. I suspect in this next year that we will have legislation that puts appropriate regulation on the monopoly, mostly monopoly companies that function in tech.
Question about movies. You recently said the rise of streaming has hurt the quality of movies, and that the word movie doesn't even have any meaning anymore. What do you mean by that? And does that mean movie theaters will die out?
It's sometimes my words out of context, everybody's words out of context, but even within context, it produce a lot of noise. What I said is, to me, I mean, it's quite simple, which is there's no question that the word movie is no longer what it was 3-5 years ago. God knows not what it was 10 years ago. Streaming has vagued out the meaning of what is a movie. And as far as theatrical distribution, be movies in theaters, I think it was probably inevitable, but one of the pandemic, without question, affected office work and work in general, as well as not being able to go to movie theaters or any theaters. I think there will be movie theaters, but I do not think that the steady diet of, let's say, going to the movies is going to last much into the future. It will be sensible for big budget movies that have lots of effects and have sound and all of those things, or have community experiences that just can't be duplicated in the home. As far as everything else, I don't think people are going to be going, as far as what we have thought to be just movies, I think they won't be in theaters. And I think they will, again, the very word movie or Hollywood or whatever is fast disappearing.
Yeah. Let me ask you a big picture question, Barry. How are you feeling right now about our country and the economy, COVID,
Jesus,
all those things wrapped up?
That is too big. So I'll just riff for a second.
Yes.
It's probably totally worthless. Despite new cases, I do think that, at least in the minds of most people, COVID is over. And I don't think that, in the United States at least, people are going to tolerate many restrictions on into the future. Again, that's supposing we don't get some disastrous uptake. So I think it's a period of reentry for everyone, and its short-term effects on the economy are positive. What will happen in a couple of years, I can't say, but the economy is hot almost everywhere. Inflation is coming, I think, without question. Its severity, I wouldn't begin to predict, but it will come, and it will. I don't think, although, I don't really know, but my sense is that everybody who says it'll be lived, I think is probably possibly wrong. And I think that a year, 2, 3 is going to have some serious consequences. The next year or two, all sailing. But after that, big issues.
All right. Barry Diller, Chairman
Thank
of
you.
IAC and Expedia. Thanks for your time.
Pleasure, Andy. Bye-bye.